What if I told you that the ultimate startup idea was literally hiding right underneath your nose? On today's episode, you're going to see how Paul was able to discover an incredible startup idea just by doing a little bit of homework.
And I think once I started hearing that more and more, and then I started actually looking at the financials and breaking down athletic department budgets and things like that, there really isn't, that much money that's just sitting there. All the money is being used,
Right.
And it was really about thinking about, maybe how the money is being used is wrong. Does the Kentucky basketball team really need a $12-15 million apartment housing just for themselves?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of thinking about that, even if there is a lot of money sitting around, or a lot of money in college athletic, it's kind of just sitting there. And it's about redistributing it. And that's where I kind of come into with the Olympics is, just give them the access to the money. The Olympics doesn't have to fund them. The NCAA doesn't have to fund it, but allow them to have access to that money. And that's kind of when things became a little bit clearer for me.
When Paul set out on his journey to uncover and research an area he was passionate about the future of paying college athletes, he never realized that it could lead him to an ultimate startup idea. Turns out for many of us, we sort of think that we're looking for just a great idea, but oftentimes along the way of researching and understanding to create something else, well, we may find out where actually a good business idea lives. And on this episode, we're going to dive in and understand how Paul was able to uncover something that he never would have seen on his own were it not for him creating something to share with the world. And that's why for many of us, the process of creating can unlock opportunities more than just a book or a podcast season, but instead it may create the ultimate startup opportunity. So when we talked last week, you were sort of in this where am I going to go? And you sort of hatched an idea. So tell me a little bit about what was the idea that you sort of came up with to say maybe there's something different here to do.
I kind of jumped off from the title of the book, Untethered. So the title of the book's Untethered. I was thinking about just a way that we could make a platform for these athletes to kind of signal to local businesses and big corporate businesses out there that they were ready to take advantage of the change whenever it comes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a fudgy area to be in because you don't want to get these kids in trouble because a lot of them, this is their education on the line. And so, becoming involved with something
you have handcuffs on your cover and now you're actually causing it.
So, even from the get-go, I wanted to make sure that I was super careful with it. And I've only talked to a few kids here at Georgetown about it and, what their thoughts would be. And I think a lot of them have shown a lot of positive feedback in terms of, having an anonymous profile on the website that, have some vague stats at first. So just, maybe conference mentions, minutes played, goals scored or points scored, things like that. I'm going to basically just have a little blurb about themselves and say, whenever the time comes that the NCAA allows to release our likeness and image rights, we want to be the first to hop on this curve. And, we want to jump on the ship and become sponsored and use our likeness and image rights, to earn a living and help us, help our bank accounts and our families, basically.
So it's funny you come to this place because as a startup guy, you're always looking for sort of these change opportunities where there's these windows that happen. And you didn't start out to start a company potentially or whatever this sort of thing becomes, right? But you found this seam and you're sort of I think there's an opportunity here. And, again, who knows where it leads to. The research that I did to find out who are these Forbes 30 under 30, people who are young like you and have sort of made it, everyone thinks, you go out, you start a company or whatever it is. It's actually not, right? It's exactly what you did, is you spend a year diving into the space, creating something about it, and you discover the seam. And you're like, wait a second, nobody has anything like this out there, right? I'm talking about it's gonna happen, and suddenly now you can talk about it. And again, it's not even a thing yet, right? It's just a site. Come in here if people want to come in. And then the cool part is maybe this thing goes, right? You don't know, right? And you get this opportunity and you go and talk to on Simmons's podcast, or you go and talk to Skip Bayless, whoever the hell it is, doesn't matter. And they're like, every college athlete should be on this thing, whatever it is. Now suddenly you got something. Then you go raise capital or whatever it might be, but it's the perfect way to segue in. And I think more people should be thinking of what's the way they can really you wouldn't have known to start this company had you not spent all this time thinking about the opportunity, right? And someone said they're never going to pay players, you would have kept saying to pay players. Instead to say they're never going to pay players, but how could this work? oh, the Olympics. What if we plug that, and based on their feedback, it's going to happen, and voila, suddenly you may have magic on your hands. You want people to be able to signal, because I think you also, if you get 100 athletes who sign on to this thing, that's a signal to the NCAA too. You're like, people want this. And then, you should also have a button on there for advertisers contact us. And you should, every student athlete should have a contact me button that comes to you, right? Yeah. You maintain that, and sort of the response back is, listen, right now, this player can't accept any sorts of sponsorships. However, when they do, your email will be released to them so that they can contact you about this, whatever it may be.